Common with us.
Okay, welcome everybody. We're on Ein Hey and Aleph. Kiddushin, 1, 2, 3, fifth wide line. And that goes Badan B'Badan Mutter. So to go back to the Mishnah, Yeshikah.
Ein Hey,
Ein Hey and Aleph. Fourth wide line. The Mishnah goes back that Mamzerim. Tanakama says that Mamzerim and Suffolk Mamzerim are mutter to marry each other. And I think more explained earlier, but everything's based on the Yisod that the rise of Suffolk Mamzer is mutter. More dash than from before, Mamzer Vada, and Mamzer Suffolk. And the whole question is Minabona, my loss will be Yuchsin. So the question is, how much should they make the Mila? Tanakama says that they didn't ask their Mamzerim to marry Suffolk Mamzer, even though the Suffolk might not be a Mamzer, but it's a Suffolk. So they made them that Suffolk is not allowed to marry Yisrael kosher. Kosher Yisrael is not allowed to marry, but Mamzerim can marry Suffolk Mamzerim, and the Suffolk Mamzerim can marry each other. And that difference, what kind of a Suffolk Mamzer, Sufi, Shtugi, everything we with it. And then Rabbi Yehuda was yesterday's Gemara, which the Gemara took Rabbi Yehuda off the Pashup Pshat, so we won't mention him now. It's not in the flow. And Rabbi Lazar says that they only remain that a Vadai B'Vadai is mutter, Mamzer Vadai, which of course is mutter. But all the fakers they made that it should be Yasser.
So camera, please. Camera, please. Sorry.
I'm sorry. Oh, I didn't. I didn't realize that. Thank you. Okay. Thank you. And Mamzer Vadai, the Mamzer Suffolk is Yasser because the Mamzer Suffolk might be kosher. And even a Suffolk is also also because one might be kosher, one might be a mamzer. So that was Rabbi Lazar. Yesterday, Chaim David asked what we passed like. So we were groping, but now we have the Gemara right here. So if you Rav passed like Rabbi Lazar, the Chumrah, that Suffolk Mamzerim are not allowed to marry, they're not allowed to marry even each other. A Suffolk Mamzer cannot marry a Suffolk Mamzer, can marry a Badai Mamzer. So who are they supposed to marry? Who can a Suffolk Mamzer marry? So the only eight is to marry a ger. So we said that past like Rabbi Yossi that Mamzer and a ger are mutter. So that would be the answer. The child's going to be a Mamzer. And Mala says they have that they can't get out of.
And then he'd have to marry ger.
Yeah, or Mamzer. If he's saying he's also going to be a Suffolk only. You're right. So it goes on the yichus of a Suffolk Mamzerim, and only can marry ger, and the kids will be Suffolk Mamzerim again. So that is that's Rabbi Lazar Shita, and Rav Paskin like him. Rabbi Eliezer, Lazar. See Paskin the Chumrah. But then Rav Yehuda was a time of both of Rav and Shmuel. First he learned by Rav, and then came to learn by Shmuel. After the Gemara says after Rav was nifter, also that he went to learn by Shmuel, or maybe both of them were alive at the same time. But it says Shmuel when I told over Shmuel what Rav says. Amali, he told me. Shmuel told me. Hillel Shona. That he seems to say, it's not clear who's referring to. The means our Mishnah. The words that it says are pretty strange. The words say that there are 10 Yuchsim and all wanted to marry each other. Of course, you can't take that literally because 10 Yuchsim includes Kohanim all the way down to Mamzerim. So, of course, the Kohen can't marry a Mamzer. You can't take the sentence literally. The sentence can't be read literally. The Pashup Pshat would be that basically a couple of words. And etc., till you get to the words. It's going on the last category of the Mishnah that says that Gevi v'chavure, Mamzeri, Nasini, Shtuki, Asufi, kulam mutam lo b'zeh. So he means to say the whole Mishnah, and happens to be tells us that Hillel is the author of our Mishnah, which also we weren't told so. Maybe the other pshatim how to learn the Gemara, but that would be the issue to say that this is Stam Mishnah that says kulam mutam lo b'zeh, which is referring to the Mamzerim and Suffolk Mamzerim. It even says more. It even says Geir Charuri, but that's not our subject too much. We just want to know about Mamzerim and Suffolk Mamzerim. So the Mishnah says that it's mutter. It's true that Rabbi Lazar, the next Mishnah says that only Vadon is mutter, but a Suffolk is Aser. But Shmuel says you should pass like the first Mishnah. So we seem to have Machlokas Rav and Shmuel. Rav pass like Rabbi Lazar. Maybe we can highlight that. Rav says Allah Rabbi Lazar. And Shmuel disagreed. let's make
So again, it's a machlokes.
it's a machlokes amurim who you passing like, right? You wanted to know what you passing like.
Yes.
So at this point it comes out of machlokes that Rav
So we're really
that
not saying it's
Shmuel
not
argues,
emphatically.
right? But we're not going to pass like Rav against Shmuel because that's Allah Rav Yisuri. So we will pass like Rav who says Allah Kabbalah the Chumrah. Shmuel says Mutar Lavazah. I'll just do it like that just to show who holds what. Rav says Allah Kabbalah that Sfeikos the Shtuki is Azar. And Shmuel says, like the first Mishnah, that's Sfeikos allowed to marry Vadai and Sfeikos allowed to marry each other. Now the Gemara has a problem. The Rav with the Rav, the Shmuel. We seem to have a contradiction between Rav, self-contradicting, and Shmuel. That Rav will pass like a Velas, we're going to find some place that he's Mekel, that could marry each other, and Shmuel's going to pass like Rav, that is Asa. Now it doesn't say a favorite, but the Gemara has a contradiction. The Itmar. There's a Brisa that says like this. Let's make it a different color. Arusa She'ibra. This is going to be the Brisa that we're going to work with. Arusa She'ibra. Arusa, as we said many times, doesn't mean engagement. Like nowadays, it's a Hebrew language mistake. Arusa means Mukudesha. She had Kiddushin. She's a Ish, but she didn't have to have Nisuin. So they did Aviyat Mukudeshasli, gave her a ring, and now she goes back to her father's home until they're ready to get married, move in together, and that's called an Arusa. So she's a Ish, she's not allowed to marry anybody. She's not allowed to have relations with anybody else besides her Orus. And if she does, the kid's a mamzer. And you have an Arusa who became pregnant. Arusa Shibra. She's pregnant. How's she pregnant? The husband says, "What's happening? Where you're my wife?" And she became pregnant. He says, "It's not from me." And she says, "It is from you." That's the horror going to be the issue. The horror. And the question is he a mamzer or not? Safek mamzer. So Rav Amar Vlad mamzer. Shmuel Amar Vlad Stuki. So both of them, the Gemara takes it to mean that both of them hold that it's a Safek mamzer. If she had relations with anybody else besides her Orus, so then the kid's a mamzer. The only way to say it's not a mamzer is that she had relations with her Orus, which really they weren't yet set to get married, to have relations, because she's only an Arusa. They're waiting for the Nisuin down the road. And if they had relations, it wouldn't make a mamzer. But any other person she would have had relations with would have made a mamzer. So the Gemara takes it to mean that both of them hold that as a Safek mamzer. This kid Lachar is a Safek mamzer. You don't know who she had relations with. Maybe her Orus, maybe with somebody else. So both of them say Safek mamzer, but still they were Madayik. Rav said mamzer, and Shmuel said shtuki, which is Safek mamzer. And the Gemara takes it to mean that Rav doesn't hold that as a Balei mamzer. After all, it's a Safek. Maybe
shtuki means we don't know what the father is, right?
Right.
Yeah. And mamzer means
that is a Balei mamzer. We definitely know.
You said it was a suffix.
Right. So I'm saying that we read the words alone.
It sounds like
Rav says Balei mamzer.
Yeah.
And Shmuel says Safek mamzer, but the Gemara doesn't think that that's the pshat, because how could they say it's a Balei mamzer? We don't know. Maybe she had relations with her Orus.
Well, because she says it was my husband. It was you.
She says it was from you. It was you. He says it wasn't.
So that's a suffix. Yeah.
Right. So why should Rav say Vlad mamzer? As if to say for sure she had relations. That the Gemara doesn't accept. Why should it be for sure? So it must mean that that's what the Gemara is going to understand. That Rav means to say there's no difference. You want to be medayik to say exactly it's a Safek mamzer. There's no difference if it's a Safek mamzer or a mamzer. You're right. It is a Safek mamzer, but there's no reason to talk about it because there's no difference. Why is there no difference? Because a mamzer is allowed to marry a mamzer, and a mamzer is allowed to marry a Safek mamzer. If Rav would hold, that's the most contradiction. If Rav would hold like a Boloza, that a Safek mamzer is not allowed to marry a mamzer, so it's very important to be medayik, like Shmuel says, Havla Shtuki, because a Shtuki has more problems that he can't marry a mamzer either. A mamzer, both of a mamzer and a Vlad and a Shtuki, both of them cannot marry a regular Jewish girl. That's for sure. Shtuki show us, even if you hold that as Safek, even though we hold Safek mamzer as mutam deraisa, but Rabbanan for sure, my Allah will be yuchsin that a Shtuki is also to marry. But could they marry a mamzer? Could a Shtuki marry a mamzer? So that's the machlokes. Rabbi Elazar holds not, and Tanakama said yes. So Shmuel was very, very careful to say a Shtuki, because you have to know that you're a Shtuki, and you can't marry not kosher person and not a mamzer, because you're a Shtuki. And Rav didn't care to say Shtuki. Rav also said that's a Shtuki. That's what the Gemara is understanding. But Rav also understands that it's a Safek mamzer. But he didn't bother calling it a Safek mamzer because there's no halachic difference. Because a mamzer can marry a Shtuki. They're all in the same boat. Like the Gemara said, Mishnah says in the beginning, a mamzer and a sini, a Shtuki and a Sufi, they're all the same. They can marry each other. So even though it's taka Safek, but Rav calls them a mamzer because what's the difference? You can't marry the Jew kosher people, you could marry the puzzle people. But Shmuel said, no, you have to be medayik, say Vlad Shtuki, because a Shtuki cannot marry a mamzer, cannot even marry another Shtuki. You have to know your yichus, you only can marry a ger. That's what he meant to say. That a shtuki, this person who's a suffix mamzer can marry a mamzeres. Why? Because even though you're only a shtuki, you can marry a mamzeres like the Tanakama. That's why he meant. That's why he went to me medayik. That is a shtuki. You have to know that you're a shtuki and not a mamzer badai, and you can marry a mamzer badai. So that's the most contradiction. Rav and Shmuel, both of them contradicted each other. Here, Rav didn't care to say the difference between a mamzer and a suffix mamzer because everyone's mutar lavazeh bazeh. And Shmuel's the one who said avlat shtuki, which meant to say like a balaza. If I'd be more medayik at this point, maybe I should just make the color scheme a little better to show us what the contradiction is going to be over here. Shmuel's going to be in the yellow now. Shmuel's going to be the one that means that we care. Shmuel avlat shtuki. He's the one who's saying like Rabbi Lazar, and Rav says that we don't care. He seems to be talking the green language over here. Rav seems to be saying that we don't care if it's a suffix mamzer because it's mutter anyway. That's the most contradiction. Rav and Shmuel. That's the most kasha. And the Gemara says, "Teres number 1, April." Switch this price around, make the green, make the yellow. That Rav's the one who says that there is a problem. Shmuel says it's not a problem. Rav would have said shtuki, and Shmuel would have said mamzer. Means keep the original one, and this one is the mistake.
And the machlekes is
if shtuki is wanted to marry a mamzer, Tanakama says they're all allowed to marry. Mamzer vade, mamzer suffix, everything is mutter. Rabbi Lezer says only vade is mutter, everything else is usher because one is a suffix. And Rav passing like that chumrah, and therefore he's going to say that Arusa Shibra is a suffix mamzer, so it's a shtuki, and don't marry anybody. Not a mamzer vade, not a mamzer suffix, because you're a suffix. And Shmuel didn't care because he passes like the Tanakama that everyone's mutter lovers that was there. That was the answer. Epoch, Rabba Mavla Shtuki, Shmuel Mavla Mamzer. But now ask Kasha the other way. If you change the gears around, so then they're being repetitious. They said the Machlokas about who you paskin like. How come they have to paskin again by Rusa She'ibra? This case of a Rusa She'ibra, why talk about this fancy case if it's going to be the same thing? If it's a stira, so it's a stira. If you make it to be the same, then it's just redundant. You're repeating it again. That's the Morris Kasha, Tati Lamali. Why did you have to say the same Machlokas twice? The Gemara answers, it's necessary to say both Machlokas. Means our Mishnah is talking about a regular Pnuya, unwed mother, and we don't know who the father is, so it's a suffix mamzer, who's the father. And the case of Arusa Shivra is that she's wed, she's Arus, and Arusa, and therefore there's also a possibility of being a mamzer. But the Gemara says there's a tzricha of both cases. But tzricha, the Rav Sula Mesla, Ema Model Shmuel. The case of a Pnuya She'ibra, there's a Pnuya She'ibra and a Arusa She'ibra. A Pnuya She'ibra, you don't know who the father is. She's a single girl. She became pregnant. You don't know who the father is. Over there, rope chances are the kid's not a mamzer because most people are not her close relatives and are not mamzerim. So the child, by most chances, is going to be a kosher child. But our Mishnah, but this case of Arusa Shibra, most cases are that the kid's a mamzer because the only one that would have had relations that is going to, the child won't be a mamzer, is only the Arus. He's the only one. If she had relations with anybody else, the kid's going to be a mamzer because she's Eishes Ish. So you would think that maybe in that case, Rav would also agree that what? That is, which one am I saying?
It says Ema Model.
Ema Model Ishmos. How does it go? That Rav is the one who says, a machmir, that a suffix mamzer can marry a mamzer, a machmir that a suffix mamzer cannot marry a mamzer. A machmir, that a suffix mamzer cannot marry a mamzer, right? Because you say maybe the suffix is kosher. So you could say that Rav only holds that maybe he only gives weight to the tzad that the suffix mamzer is kosher because most chances are that it's kosher. A single mother that became pregnant, most chances are that the kid's not a mamzer. It's only she had relations with a relative or with a mamzer. But any other person she would have had relations with, Jews of course, so then the kid will be kosher. So that's why he's machmir to say don't marry a mamzer, even though you're a suffix mamzer, because the suffix is not such a big suffix. But in the case of the Arusa Shibra, you can say over there that most chances are that the kid is a mamzer. So you should allow him to marry another mamzer. Is that good? The logic is good. It sounds a little counterintuitive, but it really does make sense. That in the case of Rov Kshem Metzla, when she's an unwed mother, she's a single mother. So then over there, most chances are that the kid is kosher. And that's why we'll say the Chumrah of Rabbi Lezer not to marry a mamzer or a suffix mamzer, because probably you're kosher. But in the case of Arusa Shibra, Avalasam, the Rov Sul Metzla, there's more chance that it's a mamzer. Same in Model Shmuel, that you could marry Zebazeh. because you could marry a body mamzer, let's say, because you're probably also a mamzer. Make sense? The Itma Bahach, just say the case of a Rusa Shibra. So the Gemara could have done just the opposite. Maybe only over there. Shmuel is going to be, how's it going to go? That Shmuel is going to be Mekel, according to what the Gemara has changed it around. The Gemara says, where am I holding? If Itma Bahach, where am I holding? Bahach. I don't see my stuff. Okay. Bahach Kamar Rab Mishum the Ikala Mitla Ba'orvus. Aval Bahach Ema Model Shmuel. The Gemara says that as far also. Means as far as Lakan. When a woman is married, what's the word? Consecrated to her. That's the way to say betrothed to her Orus. On one hand, you can say that most people will make her a mamza, will use a mamza. On the other hand, it's much more chance that she had relations with him than with anybody else, because after all, he's the Orus, even though he says he didn't have relations. But there's a big chance that it is. So you might think over there, there's more chance that the vlad is kosher. If it would have always had the case that Rusa Shivra over there, Rab says be machmir and say that we changed it around now. We have to say Rav is the one who says Avla Shtuki over there is machmir and like a Belezer, because there's a big chance that the kid is kosher. You might think in the case of the single mother, you might think over there, there's more chances that the kid is puzzle. That, of course, the Rove will still say that most relationship would have been kosher, but there's a chance that the kid is a mamzer, and more chance that the kid is a mamzer than by the Orus case, because by the Orus there's a big story to say that she had relations with her Orus, not with a stranger. So therefore, the Gemara to say it twice. At this point, the Gemara says that the first gear says the correct girsa, and this we changed around the names. Rav and Shmuel, we changed it around. Everyone should be consistent with each other. Rav is the one who holds that you have to be machmir and say Avla Shtuki, and Shmuel is the one who says that there's no difference. He calls Shtuki and Ramzes all the same because Matam Lov was ever there.
What's the case where the blood is most likely hostile?
So the Gemara has two svaras, two ways to go. One is to say that Arusa Sheibro has more chance to be puzzle, because most people that she would have had relations with would have made the kid a mamza. Anybody else besides her Oros, she's an Ashish. If she had relations with anybody, even a big tzaddik and very Yuchasim,
if she had with somebody else,
the kid's a mamza.
And if she had relations, it's most likely with her husband. Is how it's kosher.
Right, that's the other side. Right, they're two starting. Right. So that was one teretz. Tzricha. If you want, I can say.
If you end up having relationships with your husband, then it's
the kid's not a mamzer. The kid's not a mamzer. They weren't yet married.
They weren't
fully,
married.
but it does make a mamzer. And that wouldn't be a big. That would be that they didn't get married with having the chuppah. Okay, but the kid's a kosher mamash. Boy is same. If you want, I could say Lola Mosef. Leave it the way it is. Means the first terrace was changed around Rav and Shmuel. They changed around these two names. Rav and Shmuel, the Gemara itself maybe changed them around to make it consistent with the first quotation of Rav and Shmuel. Rav's Machmer, Shmuel's Mekel. The second terrace says leave the names the way they are. And it's not going to be a contradiction. Even over here, Rav said like a Belazar, and here Shmuel said like to be Mekel. How come Shmuel here sounds like he's being Machmer? Shmuel sounds like tells Rav, don't say that it's a mamzer. So it's shtuki, which the one understands. Everybody holds that the Messias is that it's a suffix mamzer, and Rav didn't care to mention it because no difference anyway. A lot of people make a mamzer can marry a suffix mamzer, and Shmuel was medayik because he holds the chumrah. That was the Gemara's kasha, and now the Gemara says lo sepuch. My mamzer, the Kamar Rav, lav muter b'mamzeres. Ella the asura b'bas Yisrael. Shmuel amav la shtuki. Also does have a bas Yisrael. Just read on a little bit more. I'll translate it soon. Yachi hainu the Rav. Elamai shtuki shemashat kenoso midin kahuna. Okay, it's too long. I'm sorry, I'm going too far. We didn't get to the terrace yet. Let's go. Let's take it slow. The case of Arusa Shebra. This case, Arusa Shebra. Rav said of Lad Mamzer. Shmuel said of Lad Shtuki. The one understands that everyone holds it's a suffix Mamzer, because the tad is the suffix Mamzer. If she has relations with her husband or the kid is fine. If she has relations with somebody else, kid is a Mamzer. Everybody else is a suffix Mamzer. And the Gemara is also going that as far as a suffix Mamzer, is a suffix Mamzer mutter or not. So we had the machlokas already. Rav said that it's also to marry anybody else. Suffix Mamzer like a Belazar. Shmuel said that's mutter. That's not the subject. Rav says Vlad Mamzer. He also means that it's a shtuki and it's also to marry a Mamzer Vadai. It also means a suffix Mamzer. But Shmuel still was stressing, call it a Vlad shtuki. And that's what the Gemara wants to understand. what does Shmuel mean to say if Rav and Shmuel both are agreeing that it's Suffolk Mamzer? And the Gemara doesn't want to say that Shmuel's holding like a Belazar, Rav holds like Tanakama, because we know that they don't hold like that. So back to the problem again. My Mamzer, the Kama Rav, Lav Mutabir Mamzeres. When Rav said that he's a Mamzer, it doesn't mean to say we don't care and he's allowed to marry a Mamzeres also, because no, it's only a Shtuki. This Mamzer of Rav is only a Shtuki, and hold like Tanakama, they do not allow to marry a Suffolk Mamzer. So Rav didn't mean to say that. What does Rav mean to say? Ella also Israel. He just meant to say Suffolk Mamzer, and it's also to marry a Jewish girl. True. Okay. And what does Shmuel say? Shmuel Mavlash Tuki also does Bavas Israel. Both of them are saying the same thing. Shmuel is being one Madai. Both of them mean the same thing. Shmuel was one Madai, but both of them mean the same thing, so they're not arguing. Both of them hold that they're not allowed to marry a Bas Israel. As far as marrying a Mamzer, there's machlokas they had. Rav holds that it's Aser. Shmuel holds that it's Mutter. But what did Shmuel mean to say? Both of them are agreeing that they're also to marry a Bas Israel. That we don't make him a Kohen means that the Oros is a Kohen. The Oros is a Kohen, and now there's Arusa became pregnant during the time of Erison, and we don't know who this is from.
So he's a Suffolk.
So he's a Suffolk Kohen. So he's telling him he can't be a Kohen. We tell the kid he also a Suffolk Mamzer.
Right.
He might be a Mamzer. He's surely not a Kohen. If you're from the father, you're a Kohen, kosher Kohen. If you're not from the father, so then you're a Mamzer, not a Kohen, unless the boil was a Kohen. We don't know what a boil was. So we tell him he can't be a Kohen. And then one says, of course, he's not a Kohen. We tell him we know he's Jewish. We know he's Jewish, but he means he can't marry Israel because you're maybe a Mamzer. Of course, he's not a Kohen. Shmuel meant to say that he can't get the Yerusha from his father. Means this kid grows up, and now the father dies eventually. The father, the Orus, and we don't know if it's his father. So when the father dies and the kid wants to get Yerusha, we tell him we don't know if he's your father. Rav, you see, I don't know if Shmuel's arguing on Rav. Rav said that he's a Suffolk Mamzer, and therefore he can't marry. And we're saying Rav holds like Tanakam, we can't even marry another Mamzer or Suffolk Mamzer because he's a Shtuki. Halachically, as far as Yichus, he's called a Shtuki. But Shmuel wanted to add on that he's a Shtuki means he doesn't get. Not a Yichus. Yichus also, Rav also says that Yichus is a Shtuki. But Shmuel meant to say that he's not going to get the Yerusha from his father. Because we don't know that it's his father. Pshita, miyadin avu emanu. Of course he doesn't get the Yerusha. We don't know it was his father. The same reason he said that it's a Shtuki, because maybe he's not from the father. So of course he doesn't get the Yerusha either. But the Chiddush is in the case where he would have grabbed the Yerusha. So it's true, it's a Suffolk. But let's say he took the money of the Yerusha, so he says it's a Suffolk. Maybe he's allowed to keep it. So Shmuel says he's still not allowed to keep it. We take it out of his hands, even if he grabbed it. Which I'm not sure if the one means to say that Rav is arguing and says that we're not going to make him a shtuki minachas nechsei of it. Maybe it's only a yichus shtuki. But as far as the money, maybe if he grabbed it, maybe he's allowed to keep it because after all it's a Suffolk. So I'm not sure if the one means to say that Shmuel's arguing on Rav. But the halacha l'maisa probably is going to be like Shmuel because in monetary laws we do pass like Shmuel. In Yisrael we pass Rav and Shmuel. By monetary laws, we pass like Shmuel. By Yisrael, we pass like Rav. Here comes out of the case that there's a machlokas as far as the yichos over there passing like Rav. That passing is like Rabbi Lazar that a shtuki is asked to marry anybody. He has to marry only a ger. And Shmuel will be machlokas like Shmuel that he doesn't get the Yerusha, and even if he grabbed, he can't keep it. So that was already a second terrace how to explain this machlokas that Shmuel meant about shtuki minachsei of it. The Gemara continues a third teretz.
What was the question again?
The question is a stira in Rav and Shmuel. Rav and Shmuel, Rav says Allah Kabbalah that a shtuki cannot marry anybody, right? And Shmuel passed like the Tanakama that a lot of marry. Shtuki can marry a shtuki, a sufik, marry a mamzer vadai. And the kasha was that this brisa, not brisa, this itmar, Arusa Shibra, the case of Arusa Shibra seems to be a machlokas, the opposite. So why three tibuts? It's going to be three tibuts. The first one was change it around. Rav and Shmuel change it around, and they said they're consistent with what they said before. And there's a shrichus over there. Second there says Shmuel just means to add on that he doesn't get the Yerusha from his father. Now goes the third teretz. Iboy Sema, Lolam was Sepa, where we hold Iboy Sema, Ma'ishtuki, Beduki. We had a machlokas before in the beginning of the parak that the shtuki means hush up. And Rashi explained that when the kids call somebody his father, the mother says, hush up, because we don't know who the father is. And it's not a way of saying Suffolk. Suffolk doesn't know who his father is. But Abashal said Beduki. And the Gemara explained Beduki means that you check out, you investigate from the mother, ask the mother if the kid is kosher. If she says that he's kosher, you can rely on it. And you trust her. The Gemara over there talks about if there's a chazak, even though there's no chazak, if the kid doesn't have a chazak yet, then still, even in the case of Rob Sulin, the Gemara should have a shalom. Shtuki Shabbat, Beduki Shabbat, Gemara Sima, Vameres, the kosher, and Valtina Menes. He asked the mother if the Boel was a kosher man, that didn't make the kid a mom. So if she says yes, then the kid is kosher. But then the Gemara says, okay, it's nice shot. Means it's pretty hard on the words. Rav meant to say that it's a shtukin. The Gemara, I'm just reading out the Gemara's how the Gemara really explains this member. Arusa Shibra, Rav says Avlad Mamzer, you know what he means? He means Avlad shtukin. And he can't marry anybody because he was like Abu Lazar, that shtuki cannot marry anybody. And Shmuel Lama Avlad shtukin, you know what he means? It means Avlad Beduki. That means if you ask, the words of Mamash don't fit. Rav says Mamzer means shtuki. Shmuel says shtuki means Beduki. It doesn't fit into the words, but what does the word mean to say? That Shmuel holds that he's only a shtuki, and therefore, if you ask the mother and she says he's kosher, you can trust her. And the Gemara's kasha is that Shmuel said that already. Come on, Gamliel. We know Rav Gamliel and Ksuba says that if you ask the mother and she says the kid is kosher, you can rely on her. Shmuel already said it, and he wouldn't have to repeat himself twice. That there was a single girl who became pregnant, and we ask her what's doing, who's this fetus from, and she says Mish Ploni v'Kohenu. She says it's from Ploni who happens to be kosher. Rav Gamliel says you can trust her. Rabbi Shua Ma'enu in a menace, you don't trust her. That's the mission over there. That you trust her. So Shmuel said it already. So I Shmuel have to repeat himself and say again, Beduki, that you can rely on the mother. First white line, Tzricha. A little bigger, I can make it. Let's try one more. Almost. Tzricha. The Ima has to have Ameina has some Rov Ksham Mesla. Avalach the Rov Sul Mesla. Ima lo. Tzricha over there. Rov Kshem Mesla. Why? Because she's a Pnuya. She was single, and therefore most of the people who are going to have relations with her won't make a mamzer. Only a relative or a mamzer, and therefore over there you can trust her. If she says he's kosher, he's kosher. But over here she's an Arusa Shibra. Arusa Shibra, before I said the story was that he says it's not from me, and she said it is from you. And here the Gemara says that if Shmuel says, if she says it's from him, we do trust her, even if he's arguing. If she says that's from him, we trust her. And even though it's Rob Sulam Etzla, because the only person that wouldn't make a mamzer is only him. If anybody else that you have relations is going to be a Isha sister and it's going to be a mamzer, you still trust her. So we finished that Gemara. Just to sum it up, as far as Chaim David's question, who do you pass on like? The Mechok Jav and Shmuel. About this question about a shtuki, who's a shtuki allowed to marry? According to Tanakama, can marry a mamzer or a suffix mamzer, and according to Abu Lazar, no, can marry not a mamzer, not a suffix mamzer. And who to go marry? So the Rambam says only a ger, only geras. And Rav passes like that. Shmuel doesn't. But we're going to pass like Rav against Shmuel. They might have a contradiction, and we had three twists to the contradiction. One was to fix it up, just do surgery, and make it to be the same as the price before, and everything's consistent. Second test was that as far as money, as far as the Yerusha, Shmuel says that you can't get the Yerusha, even if you grab, still it's a suffix, and you can't take the money of the Yerusha. And the third point was to say that Shmuel is going to trust the woman if she says who it's from. We are going to believe her, and the kid won't be a mamzer. The kid will be kosher. And even if it's Rob Sulam, like Rusa Shibra, Rob Sulam, he would trust her if she says that is from him. And that's again. And now starts the whole new sugya. Second wide line.
It's very surprising that we would trust her. I mean,
So the Gemara in Ksubas talks about that there's a cheskes kashrus, because as far as the girl goes, there's a cheskes kashrus on her. And as far as the child being born, I mean, she doesn't become pasul tikuna because she says I had relations with someone that didn't make me pasul. So she's still kosher. She has a cheskes kashrus because once upon a time she was kosher. The chiddush is more on the child born. There's no chazak on him because he's beginning of his being. Who is he? So some hold that the chazak of the mother helps with the child also, since his kashrus depends on his mother's kashrus, so that could also flow over to him. She has a cheskes kashrus. And some say over there there's something with a bori that she says without a doubt. She knows. Here the Oris, if the Oris is also saying that's a little problem for me now. If the Oris is saying that he knows also that's not from him. If it will be a question of some, we don't know. It's out there. She had a relationship with somebody like a Pnuya. So there you can say that she has a bori. But this case is worse because he has a bori also if he says that I know it's not from me. I don't know. I
So
don't know
maybe
the
it's not a
answer.
marriage. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, new sugi, all about a kusi. Just a question just came up, if I could ask, that the more comes out that Shmuel meant to say Rusa Shibra, that the Beduki, and you ask her, and if she says kosher, it's kosher. So Moshe was surprised. She says it was from the Oros. So I started saying the Gemara Ksubas with the chazaka of the mother. She has a chazaka. Even though the kid doesn't have a chazaka, that's a problem. The kid doesn't have a chazaka, maybe he's good enough, the chazaka is still good. Then I got to the Bari case, so it didn't work because he's the Oros. Here the case is, the Oros is saying it's not from me.
The others are saying it's not from him?
Is it not? Is he not?
I didn't know that.
Is he not? Both of them
He's
say
not
if both. If he's not here. He's not here. Okay, if he's not here. If he's here and he says that it's not from me, then it's a Bari Bari. Then it's going to be pretty hard to trust him. Okay. New Gemara, new Sugya, Mamish, and Mamish. The Mishnah that listed before. Let's go back to the Mishnah a little bit. This last word in the Mishnah, last word. This is going to be Ayin Daled Amar Aleph, I think. Ayin Daled. Ayin Daled. The last word of the Mishnah said Kusi, and we didn't talk about it. And even when we learned the Mishnah, I said we have to wait. Over there it said Eleven Asveka, Shtuki, Sufi, Kusi. So we didn't hear about a Kusi. What's a Kusi? Shtuki, Sufi means we don't know what the father is. Sufi means we don't know what the mother is either. And a Kusi also is called a Suffolk Mamsa. So what's that all about? So we know the history. It says in Sefer Malachim that when the Melech Ashur it was Melech Bavel, I forgot the Melech Ashur, who brought the Kusim? Ashur. That they brought the Rashi, they quoted Rashi and somebody changed it over here. Also say Heshiv Sancheiriv, we say it's not Sancheiriv. We have a Melech Ashur. Okay, that's what it's supposed to be. Melech Ashur. Okay, Melech Ashur, but it wasn't done Sancheiriv maybe. Okay. Anyway, it was after the Golus of the 10 tribes. So it says the king of Ashur, he relocated different nations. And he had captured a nation called Kus, or Kut, however you pronounce it, Kut, and they relocated and they would settle in the Shomron. Over there it says that they were serving the old idols and also serving that. And then the lions came, because Hashem doesn't tolerate Avodah Zarah even from Goyim in Eretz Yisrael. And they said to the king, we can't exist over here. So he brought somebody, a Jew, to teach them how not to serve Avodah Zarah. But they still kept doing Avodah Zarah, but they did also serve Hashem and Avodah Zarah. That's the story over there. And it seems
So was it like a conversion?
it was a conversion, but the question was coerced conversion. So coerced by the lions. We didn't force anybody, but the lions did. So could it be that they helped because of the lions? They actually be Jewish and they really meant it. Maybe they didn't really mean it. So there's a question: do you say that Kusim Ger Aroyas and Ger Yemes are they considered good converts or not? If they didn't really mean it, so then maybe they considered going. The conversion was not a good conversion. If they meant it, so then they're good ger. So as far as we know, Kusim is a suffix if they're Jewish or not. But that's nothing to do with Mamzerim. And the Mishnah says, so that needs explanation. How did they get to become separate Mamzerim? So that seems to be at least what the Gemara is following up on. But the Gemara doesn't ask the question what's found in the Mishnah, which I would have liked. The Gemara should say, why is it separate Mamzer? But the Gemara brings down a brisa first. Tanya. So that's going to be the highlighted brisa. Because the brisa that Rabbi Elazar says that a kusi should not marry a kusis. So I don't know if they listen to us, but if they do, we tell them that you should not marry each other. A kusi should not marry a kusis. Should the Jews marry a kusis? Should the Jews marry over there? So sure not. Why? Because maybe they're going. Maybe they're going. It could be machlokes. Could be. We'll decide that they consider Gary Emes, Gary Arroyos. What?
Maybe they're Jews.
If they're Jews, why not marry each other? If they're Jewish, if they're gay, if they're going, marry each other. If they're converts, right? They're all the same stuff. They're all in the same boat. Either their ancestry is Jewish, kind of converts, or goyim. So if they're goyim, so marry each other. If you're converts, so marry each other. What's the problem? So how come Rabbi Elazar said kusi shouldn't marry a kusis? Now the Mishnah says that the Suffolk Mamzerim. So we have to stop before we go to the brisa. We have to talk about why they suffered mamzerim. What can we say? If they're Jewish, it could be that they weren't marked on certain things, and they had mamzerim. They had chayve krisas, and they had marriages that caused mamzerim. And they should know that the kusim, even though they're Jewish, but they're not medactic in the mitzvahs, and they have to get mamzerim over there. If they're goyim, then it shouldn't be a problem of mamzerim. But it could be that Jewish people also mixed in over there, even though we tell the Jews not to marry the kusim, but some of them did. And what would that happen? How do you get mamzerim then? If you hold that a goy, if they're goyim and they have a relationship with the Jewish girls, the kids are going to be mamzerim. They themselves might have started off as being goyim. If you hold that the kusim magiri are royos, they're not good converts, so they're goyim. And if Jewish girls got mixed in over there and have relations, the children born are going to be mamzerim.
From a girl,
A Jewish girl, a what?
From a kutit.
If it's real, no, if I'm a Jewish girl.
Why don't you start simple?
How do you
Maybe
start
they're
simple?
Really gay.
If they're really
They're really
Jewish,
gay. They're
and
Jewish.
what?
But the problem is that they weren't. So this is mamzer.
Right, that's one side. That's what I first suggested. That if they are Jewish and they do arayis, they're not careful on relations that are us that chayvik krisas, then they produce mamzerim. So regular Jewish community, you could assume that they're all keeping the halachas. But by the kusim, that they didn't keep the halachas well, they can make mamzerim. Okay, Jewish mamzerim. So don't marry them. And now we'll tell them all each other. We tell them kusi lamiditza kusis because there are mamzerim amongst you.
Because some may
Right.
arrive. It's not all, but some.
But there are some. So that's a suffix. You have shtukis married. You have shtukis amongst you, or we know that there are mamzerim amongst you. If you say that they were goyim, that they were not good goyim originally, so they were all goyim, so then you wouldn't have this problem because they were all goyim. But you could have, the history might have been that some Jewish girls did get mixed in, and their children are going to be mamzerim. If you
some
hold,
Jewish girls got mixed in, or that some of them really converted and it stuck.
Somebody say you could say it also. I guess some converted, and if they converted,
then they're Jewish.
And why are they mamzerim?
Because some of the others did it up there.
And then you can have a guy. So what's going to be that a guy had relations with a Jewish girl, and that's a machlokas. Guy, David Abba Bas Yisrael is the kid of mamzer, or is the kid of guy? Is the kid a Jewish mamzer, or is the kid guy, a kosher guy? Kosher guy. Is there another choice? That is a kosher Jew. There's also a possibility that it's not a mamzer. We had that in the Gemara. Tavlat kosher.
Just problem.
Right. For sure, he's not good yichus, but it could be that he's a kosher Jew, even though you go with the mother that he's Jewish and she had relations with a goy, doesn't make a mamzer. And that's why we pass him. So we pass him that the kid is kosher, but he's not the greatest yichus, but he's kosher Jew. But if you say here that a mamzer mixed in, the Mishnah says the separate mamzer, you have to have some shot. Either that they were good gerim, but they married in a way that produced mamzerim, or they were goyim.
Or they didn't give proper gift.
Oh, that's also a possibility. And also, there'll also be a way how they're going to produce mamzerim because they didn't give a proper get, and therefore they made a second marriage, and really she's an Ashish, and the kid's going to be a mamzer. So those all could be possibilities. How the Mishnah means that there are mamzerim mixed into the kusim. But the Gemara doesn't talk about that. The way the Gemara introduces the issue, it starts right away. The Brisa that says the kusi shouldn't marry a kusis, and that it asks my time. How come the kusi shouldn't marry the kusis? The Gemara doesn't go back to the Mishnah. Why is a kusi a suffix mamzer? That the Gemara doesn't have a problem with superficially.
And then we have to understand what's the kasha my time.
If you're accepting, right? You're accepting the Mishnah that says there's fake mamzerim, so of course they shouldn't marry each other because you have suffix mamzerim mixed in. So that Taisus points out to us, I hope I'm not making it confusing. Taisus points out that according to Rabbi Yossi, a girl is not a marrying mamzeris. So Taisus points in that the Gemara's kasha might be that even if they're mamzerim, but the kusim were not born Jewish, they were gerim. And again, according to Rabbi Yossi, is not a marrying mamzeris. So even if the Mishnah is true, that there are mamzerim mixed in over there, right, but that wouldn't be a reason why they can't marry each other. If you assume that they're going, right? If you go with the kusim are going, if the goyim are Jewish, then they're not. Right. Thank you. Good thing you're here. That on the side that they're Jewish goyim. There's no side that they were born Jewish. they were started off, the ancestry started off with Gerim.
We can't go with the Shita that both parents are Ger and still have to do like Ger.
Yes, that's what we're saying, that and the Ger is allowed to marry. That's what we're going that they're a Ger. As far as Cohen with a Ger, but as far as the din that they're allowed to marry a Mamzeres, how long does it go? A Ger is allowed to marry a Mamzeres. According to Yossi, Ger is allowed to marry a Mamzeres. And if it's a few generations down the road, if they'd be Gerim the whole time, if they start marrying into Jews, then you have to know you go with the father, you go with the mother. But if there's even many generations afterwards that they're still the children of Gerim, so then the halacha would be the lot of them marry Mamzeres. So that would be, that's the Gemara's kasha. The Gemara's kasha in my time is, even if we accept, too much, even if we accept the Mishnah that they're Safek Mamzerim, that they're Mamzerim, they're Safek Mamzerim, but at most, they're going to be Gerim marrying a Mamzer, and a Ger is allowed to marry a Mamzer. So why should the Rebbe say that a Kusi should not marry a Kusis? Taisus puts into the words my time, he puts a lot into it. He means to say that even though we know that they're Safek Mamzerim, but the Kusim at best are going to be Gerim, and they're allowed to marry Mamzeres. If they're going, we surely don't tell them not to marry. And if they're Jewish, they're going to be Jewish Gerim, they're allowed to marry Mamzeres. My time. I'm Rav Yosef. We're going to have to afford to Rutzim. I'll start with the first one, green. All of them are going to be green. I'm Rav Yosef. That's the first teretz. If the color code would remain, I would make it neither, but let's raise this green like this.
What's the question? Why can't a Kusi marry Mamzer?
Why can't the Kusi marry a Kusis?
Kusis.
This was the statement we're working on. And the question is, my time, we're going to afford to Rutzim, why not? Tais says the kasha is based on, I'm not sure if it's going to work through the whole Gemara, but the kasha is, even if they're Safek Mamzerim, but at most they're Gerim, they're not born Jewish. Again, the Ger is allowed to marry Mamzerim, according to Rav Yossi. That's how we pass them. So what's the problem with a Kusis marrying a Kusis? I'm Rav Yossi. There's number one. Asu ki Ger lachar soradoros. We look at like a Ger after many generations. What does that mean? We look at Kusim as Gerim after many generations. Asu, they made him, the Kusim, like a Ger after 10 generations. The Tanya. So we need a little bit background. The Tanya, Ger, Adasar Doros Mutter B'Mamzeres. We can't veilach Asar B'Mamzeres. It's true, we pass like a Yossi that a Ger is Mutter B'Mamzeres, but only for the first 10 generations. 10 generations is a long time.
I'm trying to think back.
Yeah, 10 generations is a huge. It could be in those days they married. It's very true, but it could be that in those days, in the Gemara's days, in the Brisa, they married at age 12.
All right.
We're saying after 10 generations. What are we saying?
It says that only
Is this a Ger for 10 generations? How would you say it in English?
Yeah, what?
We look at them as if they're a Ger for 10 generations.
Which needs explanation. Doesn't say anything yet. It's 10th generation Ger.
10th generation.
That what?
Of a Ger.
Like it says in the Brisa, Ger. This is the Brisa we're based on. Ger. For 10 generations, it holds on to the original halacha. That 10th generation Ger, that it's mutar b'mamzeres. Instead of first generation Ger, it's not a marrying mamzeres. So too the second generation Ger, third generation Ger, means his great was Megaya. So he asked what's his yichus? His yichus is Gerim. So he's allowed to marry mamzeres because that's his yichus. You go to father, probably. You go to father. Even if both of them, maybe. Okay, that's surely going to be true. If both of them are Gerim married Gioras for many generations, so the lot of marry mamzeres. The ger would lot of be marrying mamzeres. The kid's going to be a mamzer then, but the kid's lot of marrying a ger is a lot of marrying mamzeres. Good.
Is the kasha why shouldn't he be able to marry Kut?
Just come to answer. It's the answer already. We didn't answer. So we didn't get to the answer yet. We didn't get to the answer. A ger is allowed to marry a mamzeres, but only for 10 generations. We can't veilach asar ben mamzeres. After 10 generations, he's not allowed to. Now what happened? He's still a ger. He's the yichus as a gerus, and he's not a marry a mamzeres. Why not? The answer is because people forgot about it already. People don't look at him like a ger. He's already 11th generation ger. So since he gets forgotten, that's why they made an Issa Rabban. It looks like he. So people call him Jewish already. He's Jewish. He looks Jewish. After, I mean, of course, he looks Jewish. Even the first generation looks Jewish already. Second generation, but it's already 11 generations. They look at him like a Jew. And if you're going to let him marry a mamzeres, they're going to say, you see, a big Rav, he's allowed to marry a mamzeres. So you can learn out the Jews are allowed to marry mamzeres. So they made a gzeira d'Rabbanan. They show me, I have to change this. I didn't look at it. It says here, that's a whole mistake. What? Goy. I don't know. I would read it without knowing. I didn't check up the gear, but I would say it means goy. That people forget that people don't call him a goy. People, I think that people don't refer to him as a gear. Doesn't make it.
Became Akum.
Yeah, and then Akum changed avodas kachavim. It's nothing to. Yeah, which means a goy. That people forget that he was once a goy. In other words, Shem Ger. That Ishtaka means like it sinks, like it gets sunken in, that's forgotten already. And it doesn't have to do with the amount of generations, it has to do with when people forget that he's a Ger. As long as they remember that he's a Ben Gerim, so he's not a Mary Mamzeris. The Tanakhama says it depends on generations. We give it a standard, 10 generations. The Yeshamim say it doesn't depend on generations, it depends on how long it takes to get rid of the name that is they're Ben Gerim. Once people don't call him a Ben Gerim anymore, a Ben Goy. So then we made the Isra Rabbanan that he's not allowed to marry a mamzeres because people will think that a Jew is allowed to marry a mamzeres. On Kapanim, what do you see? That even though somebody's with the rights allowed to marry a mamzeres because he's a ger, but after a while it gets forgotten. That's the answer of Rav Yosef. As the answer to the kasha. The kasha was Rav Elazar says the kushi shouldn't marry a makusis. The kasha was why not? Tosis explains that even though they have mamzerim over there mixed in the kusa, but they're only gerims. What's the problem? The answer is it's already a long time. It's already past the time that they got forgotten already, even though you still call them a kusi, we're talking to the kusim, but you're already many generations already. So if people forgot that you're gerim, and they're going to say that if a kusi is allowed to marry a mamzeres, so then or suffered mamzeres, so then the Jews are also going to. So we made it gzeira. That's what the answer seems to be. The answer is good, Leib Yaakov? Okay. Amalei Abaye midam is not a good comparison. Hasam ger yoshan mamzeres chadashim. Over there, the case is an old ger, many generations already. And a new mamzeres, we say that a ger should not marry a mamzeres because people will see that he's a Jew marrying a mamzeres. They're not going to realize that he's a ger. An old ger and a new mamzeres means everyone knows that it's a mamzeres, and everyone forgot that he's a ger. That's what we say. Don't marry because people will think that you're a Jew marrying a mamzeres. That's over there. Ami bas Yisrael ludi kanasib mamzeres. People are going to think that it's a Jew marrying a mamzeres. Here, they're all the same amount of generations. The Kusi and the Kusis are the same amount of generations. So I didn't know the Pshat before too well, but maybe the Pshat, I'll say Pshat, see if it makes sense, that their history is the same amount. They're the same amount of generations. So as much as the people forget that he's a Kusi, he's a Ger, they also forget that she's a Mamzeres. But
It's still not sure that they're Kusis.
Means when did the mamzeres happen over here? It could have happened recently.
It could have happened recently, but it's because of kutis. Do we consider do people look at them like the same as Israel?
As their original. So as long as you remember that the kusim, so you remember that the gerim, and you remember that they also have mamzerim amongst them, because the kusi people have mamzerim amongst them. But once people forget that the kusim, so they forget that the gerim, and they also forget that their mamzerim mixed up against them.
No, here it's talking kuti and kutis.
Right. It's not talking about. We will still tell them that they're not allowed to marry a Suffolk mamzeres, but don't say you're not allowed to marry kusis because the kusis is only a Suffolk mamzeres because she's called the kusis. So once they lost the name kusi, they lost the name kusis also. So Abaye doesn't accept Rav Yosef's plan that the gzeira wouldn't apply over here because if they remember that he's a ger, if they remember that she's a mamzeres. They attribute mamzeres to her. They'll remember that he's a ger. If they forgot that he's a ger, they forgot that she's a mamzeres. So they rejected that pshat. Now goes pshat number 2. Ella, that was rejected. What? Abaye rejected it. Abaye rejected Rav Yosef's answer.
So we don't have a second reason.
So far, this is only one. This is Rav Yosef's pshat. Now starts the second one. Ella, this is teretz number 2.
I see.
Ella Kiyasa Rav Dimi. This is Rav Dimi's teretz. Amar. Rabbi Elazar Savala Kavi Shmuel. The reason why Rabbi Elazar said this, that a Kushi shouldn't marry a Kushi, is because he was like Kavi Shmuel. And Rabbi Shmuel Savala Kavi Kiva. So the Gemara is going to bring in two wishes over here. One is called Rabbi Shmuel, and one is called Rabbi Kiva. Rabbi Lazar said Rabbi Shmuel. What does that mean? Ramakusi Gei Arroyo saying that they're going. Gei Arroyo seems they converted because of the lions, which means that it was insincere Gerus conversion, and they're not good. They're considered going. Rabbi Shmuel said Rabbi Kiva. The Amar Goy ve'Eved Abba Bas Yisrael Avlad Mamzer. What do we have? That they're going, and if they're going, and the Jewish girls got mixed in over there, you must say the Jewish girls got mixed in. If they're goyim, so they're going. Goyim is going. They're all going. But the issue is that Jewish girls did get mixed in over there, and they had relations, and the kids that are going to be born are mamzerim, because there's such a shita. The more tribes of Rabbi Kiva that a goy that have relations with a Bas Yisrael, the kids are mamzer. We don't pass like that. We pass that a goy relations with a Jewish girl, the kid is kosher, Jew. But this he's going according to the shita that holds that the child is mamzer. So what's the answer to the question? The question was that even if they are Suffolk mamzerim, the ger is allowed to marry a Suffolk mamzer. The answer is you got the whole story wrong. They're not gerim, they're goyim.
What's the second part? The third line.
Rabbi Shmuel holds like Rabbi Kiva that says that a goy and an eved abba bas Yisrael avlad mamzer. Let's highlight this stuff. Let's highlight it with some color over here. One point is to say kusim gerei arroyo saying, which is another way of saying that they're goyim. The original ancestors are goyim. And the second point is to say that a goy, the eved abba bas Yisrael avlad mamzer. These are the two ingredients the Gemara says. Now, what are we trying to explain? We're trying to explain how come a kusi should marry a kusi. What's the answer? If they're goyim, the whole story's over. They're goyim. That's the reason why they have to marry. No. The goyim can marry each other because they marry a goy. They're all goyim. Everyone's marry each other. Fine. So that's not enough of a problem yet. So what is the problem? So the Gemara says that there were some Jewish girls mixed in over there. The Gemara doesn't speak it out, but it says that a goy, you must stick in that there are some Jewish girls that got mixed in over there. They shouldn't have. We tell all the Jews, these are goyim, don't marry them. But some people didn't listen and they married. And you have Jewish girls over there mixed in the Kusi community. You have Jewish girls over there also. And the the children born are going to be mamzerim.
So now what do you have?
Now you have goyim and mamzerim. So they still, now the baya is going to be that a mamzer should not marry a goy. The same way a Jew shouldn't marry a goy. It has nothing to do with the mamzerim. It has to do with the Jewish part. All the Gemara means to say l'chora is that the kid is Jewish, because the two choices the Gemara holds of l'chora is that either the kid is Jewish or a mamzer, is a Jewish mamzer or a goyish kosher. The truth is we pass not like that. We pass that it could be Jewish.
We don't pass that a guy with a Jew is the flags of mamzer.
Right, we hold that as a kosher Jew. He's a kosher Jew, but right, that's how we pass, and that's the thing to remember. But the Gemara initially, when the Gemara at the end of the previous parak looked at it, that the two choices is going to be a Jewish mamzer or a kosher guy. The truth is, like you said, that is a kosher Jew. He's not very kosher. He has some tainted lineage, but kosher. But that's the halacha. But the Gemara didn't think like that. The Gemara thought that in order to make him, if he's Jewish, he's a mamzer. If he be
saying that he's a mamzer is
another way of saying that he's a Jew. And that's all the Gemara really means, I think, over here. I'm saying upshot. It's a docha. Does it says like that? Okay. So again, they're goyim. They're goyim. Goyim, we wouldn't tell them what to do. The goyim do what they want to do, and the Jews shouldn't marry them because the Jews are not allowed to marry a goy. But the problem is that Jewish girls got mixed in over there, and the children born are also going to be Jewish.
That's the Rabbi Kiva that they'll be mamzerim.
Right. They happen to be mamzerim also, but it means
That
Jewish
means that
mamzerim.
they're Jewish.
Jewish mamzerim. And the other choice would have been goyim, either goyim or Jew, or so now.
Yeah, even though they're still called a kutu.
The nation of they're the community of Kusim. They're called. This is what's happening. This is what's happening in Kusim land over there by the Kusim. That's what's happening. That they're goyim. They might think that they're Jewish, but really they're Kusim Geri Arroyos, and therefore we consider them goyim. You shouldn't marry them because you're not allowed to marry a goy.
Some did.
Historically, some did. The Jewish girls got in, and now Jews are born over there because they're going having relations with the Jewish girls. The Jewish men that got mixed in, they had relations with the Goyish woman, so the kids are goyim.
Yeah.
but Jewish girls that got mixed in. So now the children born are Jewish, happen to be mamzerim, let's say, according to the sheet, according to our halacha, they'll be kosher. They're going to be Jewish,
Mix in with other kutim, and that's going to be.
and that's going to make more mamzerim. What do you mean? They're Jewish.
And now it's not. Now every
And
kuti,
Now every kuti, we tell every kuti, don't marry a kusis. Why?
because you might be Jewish and she's a good.
Because you might be Jewish, and she's a regular kusi that's a goy, and nothing to do with the mamzer.
Has nothing to do with
It has to do with being Jewish. There's another way of saying that the Jewish lineage gets in over there because Jewish woman came in, and a goy that has relations with a Jewish girl, so the kid is a Jew. The fact that it says a mamzer, that's not the subject. The subject only happens to be that they're Jewish, because the other choice would have been that they're goy. And again, I make a big footnote with the bold letters that Allah is going to be, they're going to be Jewish and not be a mamzer. And that's all the Gemara really wants to say, that maybe they're Jewish. Okay, and that's the reason why they shouldn't intermarry with each other, because some of you are Jewish over there, and some of them are goyim, most of them are goyim, but some of you are Jewish. So you don't know yourselves who's Jewish already. So therefore, don't marry with each other. Who should they? And who should they marry? Happens to be the Jews of Mamza, but who should they marry then? What would we tell the Kusi who comes to ask the Rav? Who should I marry?
Shaila is treif.
What?
Shaila is treif.
Meaning?
Don't ask.
Don't ask. Because what's the answer going to be? Can't marry. Maybe you're Jew. You don't know if you're Jewish. So be a guy.
So be Magayer again.
If you're asking the Rav, it's because you want to consider yourself Jewish. You should know that your ancestors were Goyim, and the community is Goyim. Big chance that you're a Goy. There are some Jewish people that got mixed in, and they have some Jews in your community. You might be Jewish. So what do they call it today? Geras L'chomra. They call it. Because you don't know if you're a Goy or a Ger. You don't know if you're Jewish or not.
If you're Jewish, you might be one.
Oh, and if you're Jewish, your mom's so he's going to go into the new community of Jews being Suffolk Ger, Suffolk Mamzer. Not so good. Okay, but that's going to be his yichus.
Maybe you should become a celibate priest. A celibate priest.
The Gemara has a side point over here. We'll put in parentheses just to make it easier. That the Gemara said, the way the Gemara quoted it was that Rabbi Allah holds like Rabbi Shmuel and Rabbi Shmuel holds like Rabbi Kiva. We wanted to get these two. We wanted to get these two psukim, these two ingredients, that a kusiya goyim and the kid that's born is a Jewish mamzer. But the Gemara attributed it to Rabbi Shmuel. Rabbi Allah holds like Rabbi Shmuel, and Rabbi Shmuel himself holds like Rabbi Kiva. That the Gemara is going to attack. Rabbi Shmuel Rabbi Kiva. Does Rabbi Shmuel like Rabbi Kiva that the kid is a Jewish mamzer? From Rabbi Yochanan Mishum Rabbi Shmuel, behind the goy be'ever Abbas al kohenes via Abbas Yisrael shepas luha. I'm not sure what's going to say so far. The Gemara is going to prove that he holds that it's not a mamzer. And what's it going to be? It's going to be a goy. Again, I want to suggest that our Gemara has two choices: either a Jewish mamzer or a goy. No choice of the halacha that we hold that it's a Jewish kosher. So the Gemara is proving that Rabbi Shmuel doesn't hold like this, because Rabbi Shmuel says that a goy had relations with a Jewish girl, Jewish kohenes, the via Yisraelis, paslua. They made her pasul tikuna now, because she had relations with a goy. How do you know? We had this halacha already before. We didn't bring the source. Here brings the source. Shenemar Abbas Kohen Kisiyal Amano Busha B'Zera Einla. Abbas Kohen that became an almana. She became a widow or divorced from her husband the Yisrael, and Zera Einla. She doesn't have any children from that Yisrael, so she can go back to Truma from her father's house because she's a Abbas Kohen without any husband or Yisrael and no children that are Yisrael. And he learns out from there. Misha Ishla Almanas V'Gerushin. Only a kind of a husband that it applies widowship and divorce. But you also go but that's the one that she can go back to Truma. But if she had relations with a goy or an evet that has no concept of widowhood or gerushin because there's no nisuin by a goy to a Jew, so over there she can't go back to her father's house anymore to eat Truma. Anyway, what did he say? He made a special drasha to learn out that a goy that had relations with a Jewish girl, she can't eat Truma. If he produces a mamzer, this relationship will produce a mamzer, then surely she becomes pasul. You wouldn't have to have a drasha to say she becomes pasul. So the Gemara proved that he holds a what? Ashta mamzer that he's a kosher guy.
Doesn't make no sense.
Doesn't make him zayim, but I was trying. Okay, it's not a man. What's the other choice? What's the other choice? Okay, the Gemara is just sticking on this one thing. It doesn't know that it's a mamzer. But if is it going to be a kosher guy, it also doesn't help us as far as Shmuel's Russia.
We just want to know her status, you know?
And her status is going to be puzzle if the kid is a kosher guy also. I think no, not so simple.
Maybe it's not as bad. If it's Vlad Namzes, so the Namzerus comes from the Avera. If it's a kosher guy, maybe
If it's a
maybe
kosher
not
guy,
bad.
so then it could be that she's not. You have to have a drasha to say that she gets possible to be of a guy. But if it makes a mamzer, then it's possible that she becomes possible. So the Gemara says that Shmuel doesn't hold like Rabbi Akiva. So the Gemara, no problem. So don't make it Rabbi Shmuel or Belazar. The main point was Rabbi Belazar said so. Rabbi Belazar is the one who said this thing kusi lo yesik kusis. We have to make that he holds of these two halachas. We made a mistake and we attributed it to Rabbi Shmuel also on the way. Okay, so that's not Rabbi Shmuel. So the Gemara changes that. El Rabbi Belazar savalak Rabbi Shmuel, but Amar kusim gera royos, savalak Rabbi Akiva, the Amar goy bever abba basisrael abba ramza. The Gemara does the same thing as before, that he holds these two ingredients. But before we said that Rabbi Shmuel holds it the second ingredient. That we have to take back because we saw that Rabbi Shmuel doesn't know that the blood is a mamzer. Okay, so we're not attributing it to Rabbi Shmuel, attributing it to Rabbi Lazar. Okay, we got out of that. But the Gemara rejects that also because Rabbi Lazar also doesn't hold that. But Misa Rabbi Lazar, Rabbi Kiva, does Rabbi Lazar hold like that? That the kid is a mamzer? I'll show you. Also doesn't hold like that. From Rabbi Lazar, Alpha Pisha Nech Rabbi Yisham Yisrael B'Tzaros, Modim Shein Mamzer Elam Misha Surei Suro Iser Erva Banish Kares. He says that even though the Bachok's over there, Tzaros Erva, if they do Yibum or not. But as far as who's a mamzer, it's only a mamzer. I don't know what the connection is right now, but the mamzer is only if he's a result of a union of chayve kores.
Not Chavilah, not the Yavom Lashon. If they were mated the Tzaros Lashon, even if we hold that the Tzaros are not with the Lashon, but it's not going to become a man.
So he didn't say that the goy, the Eved Abba Abbas Yisrael, it's a blood mamzer because it says it has to be a chayve krisos. So the Gemara rejected the second teretz also. The second teretz wouldn't work. The Gemara wanted to explain the reason why Belazar says kusi lo yisa kusis is because of Belazar. This Belazar number he holds that the gera arroyos that passes, but I also have to say that he holds that the mamzerim got mixed, that Jews got mixed in over there by saying that the goyim they have a relationship with the Jewish girls and the kid born is a Jewish mamzer, and that Rabbi Belazar doesn't hold that. And if it's a goy, it could.
And what's the other choice? That it's going to be a goy, and then you'll have
Which one?
goyim marrying goyim, which is fine.
Or there could be goyim.
You can all get out of there still.
They're goyim. The community is goyim, and if Jewish girls came in, but
Still
the
kids
children
are
that are going to be born are still going to be
Goyim.
goyim. So we wouldn't tell them not to marry each other because they're all goyim marrying goyim.
Why would they still be?
Because you don't. The two choices are that when a guy has relations with a Jewish girl, what's the kid? Either a Jewish mamzer or a goyish kosher guy, a guy. So that's a machlokes. And the Gemara says that this shot we just said would explain that a kusi should marry a kusis only because the Jews got mixed in over there. Some are Jews and some are goyim. But if you say that the blood is a goy, so there's no problem. You tell them you're all goyim, marry each other. That's okay. So we still didn't, and that's what Belazar holds. Belazar holds that that the result of a guy marrying a Jewish girl, the kid's going to be a guy. So it doesn't explain why a kusi shouldn't marry a kusis. So we rejected now the second teretz, and now goes the third teretz. Elok Yasser Ravin. Elok Yasser Ravin. Ravin in the name of some the one color just to get it, the color scheme. It's okay, even though this it doesn't last anymore, so I don't use the last. But it doesn't anymore, so I don't have to be so much with. But if it helps for the time being, so now we have Ravin. You had already of Yosef, and then of Dimi, and now Ravin. So Ravin is the name of somebody. The somebody takes a couple of lines. Amr Achiv Rabbi Amr Yochanan, Pamil Amr Abram Bazav, Amr Chanina, Pamil Amr Yaakov Ayidi, Amr Yeshua Ben Levi. But whoever it was, Ravin brought the news in. What's the term?
As long as the names of it.
Three choices of what the name is. He either said the name of Achiv Rabbi Amr Yochanan, or Rabbi Bazav, Amr Chanina, or Rabbi Yaakov Ayidi, Amr Yeshua Ben Levi. Anyway, Ravin said, Shalosh Machloket B'Davar. We find three opinions about the issue. I'm not sure which issue. Rabbi Shmuel
Well,
Sabra,
it comes out as Rabbi Yeshua, so the last
Shul
statement.
Ben Levi, Shul Ben Levi.
Shul Ben
Maybe
Levi.
some say,
Or Chanina,
Oh, Rabbi
some
Shul
say
Ben Levi.
that he said it, some say
Yeah,
it's
it's
Rabbi Yochanan.
I got you.
So what did he? What is the answer? Rabbi Shmuel Sabra Kusim Geri Arroyo saying.
Everybody thinks that.
Is that answer already?
I'm sorry. Shalosh Machlokes
Oh.
Madova.
If you want to, you asked what's Shalosh B'Davar, so he says 3 opinions regarding Kainim and Kusim that got mixed up.
That it says in the pasuk that Kohanim came in. The pasuk in the Navi already says that that they made some of them to be Kohanim. There's a pasuk coming up. So some Kohanim, but most. So let's see. Maybe the pasuk on the side will help us. I always get the wrong side. Yeah, I did it again. How come I always get the wrong side?
Pasulim.
Okay,
They're called Kohanim Pasulim, is that what you're gonna say?
we'll see what the Kohanim are. Right, there's going to be Kohanim. Where's the pasuk? Pasuk here. Pasuk in Malachim base. Vayiyu Yerayim es Hashem. The Kusim feared Hashem. Vayasu lahem mitzosam kohanei bamos. Vayiyu osim lahem bebeis habamos. So the Kusim.
Take the book away.
Is this anybody's way?
It's just the sun.
Some is a reflection. It's just this.
You could do the curtain over there, Chaim David, you could black the curtain, there's a curtain over there, you could, black curtain.
I don't know exactly what you're talking
In the next window, there's.
The pasuk in Malachim. Vayiyu Yerayim es Hashem. Vayasu lahem mitzosam kohanei bamos. The Kusim, after they were taught either about lions, so they were fearing Hashem, and they made from some of themselves, the Torah, kohanei bamos. They made what we call kohanim, by priests, whatever, clergy. Kohanei bamos. Vayasu vayayu osim lahem bebeis habamos. What were they doing over there in the bamos? I forgot.
Hashem were you oh, Hashem were you Yerayim.
So they do work, but these Kohanim, if they were doing Avodah Zarah, they were serving Hashem on Bamos, I'm not sure. Okay, we'll get the information soon. So, what does that mean? Rabbi Shmuel Sabra, Kusim Ger Roya saying, they were going. Their Gerus was not good. The Kohanim Shenitmu Bahem, Kohanim Psulim Hayu, and the Kohanim that got mixed into them, Nitmu with the iron, that got mixed into them, they were non-kosher Kohanim. And he means the pasuk Shenema Vayasu Lam Mitzosam Kohanei Bamos. So the pasuk trying to learn that that's the point that some of their own people to become Kohanim, but he says no, that they really got Kohanim. But what kind of Kohanim? From the thorns, meaning like the apostle people. So they got Kohanim of the nation. So they got Kohanim from the children of Aaron, I would say. I'm not sure. Maybe I'm wrong about that. Maybe maybe the word Kohanim just means that they were acting as priests, but they're from the Psulim. So apostle people came in. Means they were Gerim. I'm sorry, they were Gerim. They were Goyim. They were Gerim.
He's talking about the Kohanim, right?
The Kohanim that came into the Kusim, and that means that they were originally apostle people. They were apostle Jews. They were apostle Jews.
The Kohanim.
The Kohanim. I don't think it means after that they got Kohanim from Shevet Levi. They got priests from the Jewish people who happened to be apostle. They were not a good lineage. Not only they weren't Kohanim, I think that they weren't even kosher Jews. They were Mamzerim. They got Mamzerim to come to be their priests. How come Mamzerim came? Those are the ones who wanted to come. And the Jews didn't let them. Said, of course, don't let them. They became a priest over there. That's why. Who puzzled them? Rabbi Elazar. I'm not sure what the Mishmachi Paslim, therefore they puzzled them. Well, I'm not sure who puzzled them. But what's the point being said? I have one shot already now. How come they are Mamzerim mixed in? Because Mamzerim came in. The mixed Mamzerim came to get mixed in over there. How do we continue for future generations that there should be Mamzerim? Do we have any shot on that? Because the Jewish girls also came and they're producing Mamzerim.
He's saying because of the Kohanim that came in and they were already a Suffolk Mamzer. These Kohanim are Suffolk Mamzerim. That's what Kotzi means.
Code
And
symbol,
so
yeah.
then that's how they got mixed into the Kutim, and that's why they can't marry Kutim.
That's why now. Why should the Kusi not marry? Back to the question: how come we should not marry them? Because they're goyim. Big time that they're goyim. They are some either kohanim or mamzerim. Why should they marry with? Why should that not marry with each other?
Because the Kutim might be really Jews.
Right. So it happens to be mamzerim, but the point is that they're Jews. The point again is the mamzerim is not the issue. The issue is that they're goyim.
So isn't that similar to the second answer? This is
Yeah, but not because of goy wherever the Abbas Israel. The other Gemara was especially the reason why they're mamzerim is because they were goyim and they had relations with the Jewish girls and they produced mamzerim, Jewish mamzerim. Then what doesn't want that now? Velosa doesn't know like that. He holds that they would have been goyim also. The answer is that Jewish mamzerim came
because
and
the
what?
pasuk, the Kohanim are like
Right.
really Jews.
And he
from the
finds
beginning,
Kotzim
not
over there,
the
right? Real Jews. And now what? What happens to the continuation? How does the descendants? What happens with them now? You have some mamzerim that came in from the Jews, and now what happens? If they have relations with the Goyish girls, the kid's going to be Goy. But there are some Jewish girls also came. You have to say, is that what you have to say? I'm groping together with you. What happened? Some Kohanim mamzerim came in. Some mamzerim came in to the Kusi
And
community.
they gave birth to daughters.
From who? From
They
who?
gave birth to daughters.
From who? Who's their wife?
Mhm.
This
No,
this mamzer. Who did he marry? If he married the Kusim, the Goya
he married
Shikusim,
a Kutit.
so then she's a Goya. The kid's a Goya.
Is that true? Is it going not a mamzer? They're not going to carry the numbers apart.
A Goy mamzer?
Oh, once you
No.
go, yeah.
That's what we had over there in the Mishnah when it said the four categories. It said some is Zachar, some is Pogrom, some is Mamzer, some is Goy. So I think the Goy, you don't go look at a Goyish and Mamzer. No such thing. There's a Goyish and Mamzer. So
They came with the families.
it came with the family. You have to say that these Mamzerim came with their families.
And then what?
And then
kids
the
gonna be-
Mamzerim, so they're Mamzerim flying around over there. So besides the Goyim, the community at large is Goyim. But they also, families of Jewish Mamzerim came in. That'll be the shot why the Kusi shouldn't marry Kusis. Why? No good. You can't marry over there in the Kusi community because they're Goya. That's not first thing. You tell them, maybe you're marrying a Goya. That's the reason why you shouldn't marry anybody.
Maybe you're married.
What?
I'm sorry, I missed it
I
again.
know, I'm just thinking, we were trying to figure out why the Kusi shouldn't marry a Kusis.
Yeah.
That's the today's title. So we figured out that
Kohanim,
maybe
Kusi.
there are some families that came in that were Mamzerim.
Okay, but we're talking about Kohanim, and that's a man, right?
So
then you
so
have your
Pinchas says
question.
yes, they came with their families also. If they would have been only men that came in, Jewish mamzerim came in, and they only married the Kusi ladies, so the next generation is going to be going.
So it must be the whole family.
So whole family came in. So what, you have a family of mamzerim that came in. Families of mamzerim came into the Kusi community. Now what happens with the next? Now you want to talk about why you shouldn't intermarry? Of course you shouldn't intermarry with the Kusi because they're goyim. The chash goyim. Nothing to do with the fact that mamzerim or you shouldn't marry. If they're all mamzerim, they'd all be allowed to marry each other. All the mamzerim should continue marrying each other. That would be good. But they married with the goyim, so of course you're not allowed to marry because maybe they're goyim. Of course you're not allowed to marry. I'm not sure if the Gemara is going into that yet. So far the Gemara said this was Shalosh Shitas B'Dava. Rabbi Shmuel says Kusim Ger Arroyos, and he holds. They are at the wrong place over here. Shalosh Shitas B'Dava. Rabbi Shmuel says Kusim Ger Arroyos, and there are Ramzer mixed in amongst them. Rabbi Kiva Sava Kusim Geri Emesain. The Kohanim Shinit Mubiyam Kohanim Ksherim Hayu. Kiva holds that they were good Geras originally, and they also have good families that became Kohanim. Same pasuk as before, but there's a way to dash from the pasuk that it means from the best. Kitsinim and Katsosim is Kitsinim. So then everything is good. You have Jews, kosher Gerim, and Kohanim. So everything sounds very good. So it's a good yichus over there to be by the Kusim. So how come they said that if they not Osram? How come Chazal said not to marry Kusim? If they were Gerim or Kohanim, Mipnei Shahayu Miyabnim Esar Rusos. Oh, that's in parentheses. Mipnei. Okay, I'll put this in parentheses because it's not really the point. Okay, Pinchas is saying. Mipnei next page. When there was a question of Yibum, So they said Yibum only applies to if the first couple that had no children, they only had Erison. And then the husband died without children, so then there's Yibum. But if they would have been Namish married, they consummated the marriage, and then the husband died without children, it's really strange because, okay, every Arusa. What?
How can you do Yibum?
Eshesach is also by the Arusa also.
They held it that much now. It's not-
And
now-
every Arusa never has children. Okay, my Ben okay, every Arusa when he died, so he has no children. So they said that this was the problem that they made. They said that there's no Yibum when really there's supposed to be Yibum. Of course, there's Yibum by Nesua also. The couple married, they married many years even, whatever it might be. They didn't have children, and then the husband died. They have to do Yibum. They held not. They held as soon as they consummated the marriage, there's no more Yibum, even if he dies without children. And they have Amalashuk, and they married. And since they said put the Nesuas, my Darshi, they had a drasha to say that there's only Yibum on Arusa. What's the pasuk? There's a kind of thing called Eishes Hameis Achutza. Eishes Hameis Achutza means the woman, the widow of the man who was not mamish married to her. He was a chutza man. She shouldn't marry Yisrael. The one who was not in his house, that's the one. He lo siya l'zo. She shouldn't marry out. But if she's already in, she was already consummated the marriage. Tia l'zo. She's allowed to marry out. So what happened? You had Yivam Lashuk. And what happened? And that produced mamzer. Which somehow that means that the kid becomes a mamzer. It's a chayv labin. Lo siya. It's a lab. It's not chayv koros, but it's a lab. And that's why they got mamzer mixed in by the kusim, because they were mati Yivam Lashuk, which is a chayv labin. The kid's a mamzer. That's the second opinion. That's the second one. Rishon was the first one. The Kiv is the second one, and Yeshua was the third one. If you shame begin with the two mitzvahs, because they're not again. What's the word in English for that? They're not expert, fluent in the particulars of the mitzvahs, which means that they made marriages, Gittin and Kiddushin, and didn't know what they're doing sometimes. And there's going to be a shesish flying around that didn't get the proper divorce, and she's going to be married, and the kid's going to be mamzerim. Man Yeshomim, that more goes into who we find that holds that they're not became the mitzvahs. We can stop over here.
But there's a Rashi there that might help.
Might help. What we have now, you have a reason why there's mamzerim over here, right? So the mamzerim. What do you have here? You have mamzerim mixed into the what are the kutim? It doesn't tell you. Gary Royce doesn't tell you. Either they're Jews or they. Which way? And the third shita? And the third shita doesn't tell us what he holds. But you have mamzerim. One.
So why kutim? What's the answer? What's the fourth there?
What do you have? You have mamzerim over there. You have Jewish. You have Jewish mamzerim. They are. You see that hold at the Gary Emes because you talk about Yibum over here. So they are Gary Emes, and they had the mamzerim because they were Mata Yivam Malashuk. So therefore, what?
Oh, so there's some mamzerim. Maybe that's the answer.
Some mamzerim.
Some mamzerim and some are not.
So they all suffer mamzerim. So Kusa, they use the Kusas because they're mamzerim amongst you. You're all Jewish.
Oh, like that Sufis, like the Shita. The Sufi, the Shufi, Asurim, Suffolk, the Suffolk also.
Same as Rabbi Kiva, really. Rabbi Kiva also said that they're Jewish. They're Gary Emes. But there's a Malashuk, they have mamzerim. He also says that they have mamzerim around. Okay, so they're all saying that they're Jewish, they're Jews, and there are some mamzerim around. So don't marry within yourselves because some of you are kosher, some of you are mamzerim.
1 minute.
That's how they explain Rabbi Kiva.
And the Yeshoma is the same thing. Just how did it come about mamzerim? Rabbi Kiva says because they did Yivam Malashuk, so like Beshita, the Bezdin said that you're allowed to marry Yivam Malashuk, so they made mamzerim. They could produce mamzerim, and the other one says they weren't, but they came, but they didn't. Other problems they didn't know how to make it well, and therefore they made mamzerim also. So we have the Kusim community has mamzerim mixed in within them. The kasha was, but the kasha still goes back to the beginning. Taisha says the whole problem was that they gave him. Taisha says the whole kasha was we know stuff of mamzerim. That wasn't the problem. The problem was that they gave him, and gave him a lot of marriage stuff of mamzerim.
Yeah, but for any Jew to get into that, to me,
We're going under Beloza. He says kusi lo kusis, not the Jew. A Jew shouldn't marry that. We understand. But how come the kusi shouldn't marry the kusis? That was the first terrace. We knocked that off. That was our bias terrace. We knocked it off. That was a aggressive terrace. We knocked it off. Then we tried Kiwi's teretz. What was his teretz? What's that?
So now we're looking at it as Israel, as a complete Israel.
That's what that's a Gary. Yeah, no, completely. No, that's the problem because the best they could be is Gary. The best that could be is Gary. They weren't born Jews. The ancestry is Gary.
But
the
the ancestry is there, but now they're Israel.
Because of many generations. Yeah. That's not much the first teretz.
Sure, I got mixed up. What happened? The first teretz was that they were Gary Yoshua. And we said it's not good because
not a good
they're not
teretz,
married
right.
regular mamzeres.
And the kasha again, the kasha we're trying to answer is that a ger is allowed to marry a mamzer. That's the worst kasha. That the mamzerim mixed in, what the problem with it? The mamzerim mixed in. The end of the Gemara really helps us. How did the mamzerim get mixed in? If we would have wanted to know how did the mamzerim get mixed in, the end of the Gemara is very nice because either they matay b'mal l'shuk b'shita, or they didn't know they took their mitzvah, so they produced mamzerim. So fine, they are suffering mamzerim mixed in. Mamzerim mixed in. Don't marry the kusim. But the question was, but the kusim themselves have no problem because they're gerim, and gerim is allowed to marry mamzeres. So that was the kasha. The first teretz would have answered the kasha that it's already a ger yosha and they're already forgotten, but that teretz didn't work. So now we're looking for other teretz. The second teretz was that they were goyim.
Some of the women are goyim, and you're gonna have a Yiddish person,
Marrying a goy,
but a Yiddish person
marrying a goy, and nothing to do with mamzeres. It has to do that some of you are Jewish, some of you are goyim. But then that also didn't work because the Shita holds that they're also goyim. So second, even if the
girls
came in, but the kids are going to be goyim also. So now after that, I'm lost. I don't have any more to left. What's the third teretz?
Well, we're in now.
They went ahead
What?
and made Yibum and Chalitza.
No, that's already just saying why they're mamzerim, but that doesn't answer the kasha because they were just gerim. What's that? You have a third teretz? You do have a third teretz? What's the third teretz?
That's what we're talking about. That's this.
Oh, I thought this the third and fourth, whatever. No, again, what do we have?
Either because of same issue. Either because of Suffolk Mamzer, because of Rabbi Akiva that Yavam Shuk, or Suffolk Mamzer because they became.
That's the reason why they're mamzer, but it doesn't answer the kasha that kusim could marry with each other because they are gerim, and a gerim could marry.
Unless we don't hold like that.
Gerim could marry mamzerim.
That's only one sheet.
But that was the whole kasha according to Tosfos. My timer. Rabbin's coming to answer the kasha. That's right. Rabbin's coming to answer the kasha. So Shosh Machlokes B'Dover for what? Shosh Machlokes.
The plus. What does it mean? Kutim and Kohanim. Well, what does it mean? But not Shosh Machlokes B'Dover of our kasha.
So the first one that he says Rabbi Shmuel, Rabbi Akiva, and Yeshomim. So Rabbi Shmuel says that they are gerim. Geri Aroyos means goyim, and again the Jewish mamzerim. So that all stands to the kasha. And again, it's going to be not dafka because of mamzeris, but because of Jews and goyim. The same way we want to learn the second teretz that it was the mamzer is not the main issue. The issue is that goyim and Jews. So here also he's saying that Geri Aroyos. And there are some Jews over there. So we tell each person, you don't know if you're Jewish or goy. So don't marry.
Really?
I mean, Ravin and Rabbi Shmuel.
So what? The third teretz?
Sava Kusim Ger Roya saying, and Koinim or Koinim Sulam. So you have goyim and Jews. The Jews happen to be mamzerim. That's not the point. The point is that you have goyim and Jews. So don't marry each other because you might be a Jew marrying a goy.
I think it seems to be a damn community. I mean, there's nothing really to do there, just to keep away.
No, so the Jews surely stay away. The question is if the Kusim have to stay away from each other.
But even if they stay with each other, there's no
We're talking about could they marry each other? Could they marry each other? If you say they're all goyim, so they're all goyim, so marry each other. If you say that they're all gay, so marry each other, everything's fine.
Well, they're definitely all mamzerim.
That's not so. Why you all mamzerim?
Because amongst the mamzerim there are Jews and there are non-Jews.
So forget about the mamzerim. Non-Jews are not mamzerim. Non-Jews are non-Jews. So the problem would be if they are Jews and goyim. That's going to be the problem.
So Rashal says that all agree that Mikzoisam, some Yidden were moved in. The Hanach of the Kasha was that all the kutim are gerim and the gerim are allowed to marry the mamzer. So the answer is that there's some miktoisam, kehanim, or whoever, Yisraelim, not gerim,
not Gary.
who were moved in.
So Rishmael says that Puzzle Jews moved in.
Also called
Rabbi
kosher
Akiva
Jews.
says,
No,
Rabbi
Shana.
Akiva says,
Kosher Jews.
kosher Jews.
No, Shana. Jews.
And therefore, that's enough. That's
Once you have Jews moved in,
so now what?
so
They
either
don't
have
marry.
Jews marrying Goyim, or you'll have Jews marrying Mamzerim. Either way, they can't marry.
But that would have been enough already. That the Jews can marry going.
That's
That the Jews, all these pratim are not saying the mamzer doesn't. We don't care about the mamzer. We just care about the Jewish part. The fact that Jews got it.
Some of them, like, some of them are Jews.
Right. That's the comes out. That's the main point.
Did we have these problems with, you asked this, but the Ethiopian community, did we have problems like this with them? I mean, surely there was some similarities. It's not worth asking.
I don't know anything.
Yeah.
That's blue fuse now.
I'm sorry, I didn't know
But
that. Because they have it.
but the Gemara is okay.
I think so. We wanted to know why
The Kusim can't intermarry with each other.
Because even if there's Mamzerim, it's Gerim which are mutter Mamzerim. The answer is some of the Kutim are not Gerim. And the middle lot, and they can't marry Kutios because they might be Goyim, going to one sheet. They might be Mamzerim. For Yisrael to marry from the Kutim is a problem. And we got them coming in from the Mikitzay side. And like this is saying, now what exactly the issue is going to be totally in the Shitas. According to one Shita, they're going to be marrying Goyim. The Gereres. According to the other Shita, they're going to be marrying Mamzerim. But that's two Seifim, but the main tenet is that
there are some Jews married.
Sort of
Okay.
3 and 4.
And the Yeshom doesn't have to do the Ksosam. Only two pshatim the Yeshom Akiva was, but the Ksosam, those were the Jews that got in, either kosher Jews, non-kosher Jews, but that was the two Jerusalem. And the Yeshom is another thing now. He also has he's also going that they were gay.
Continuation of showing that there's something Mamzer.
You have to say Gary MS. Gary MS.
Eden came in.
Where did Eden come in? So okay, so then it's not.
Just a seif on how to make them possible.
That's like Yeshua. It's going to Rabbi Kiva really. That how can the puzzle?
Yeah, in other words, you don't have to get to Rabbi Kiva that's
right.
Because they became.
So in Rabbi Shmuel, they came. Mamzerim came in. Kotzim came in. According to Rabbi Kiva, that good guys came in. So where's any psul? So either because of Yivam Yeshua, or because
So goes back to the Mishnah now. You know, as far as the price of
all we need is that Jews came in.
If kosher Jews came in,
So surely they shouldn't intermarry.
so what's the problem? What's the problem with the Mishnah now? I wait the Mamzeros come in. So for that, it's two ways. Either
Okay. We really are middle over here. That goes okay. I didn't see this yet. We do that tomorrow already. This goes really Yagav to say Mani Showman. We'll see that tomorrow. We got till here. That should go. That should go. Okay.